Yes, so this is still a question, and we try to correlate now these AMH values with whatever FSH values available with us, or for some patients we did FSH value at our own cost. But we can't continue keep doing FSH value for each and every patient of AMH to see the correlation. Whatever AMH and FSH study we have done, we found that it is well correlating with each other. Another important finding, as she has said that she relies more on USG finding, we also try to ask for the USG report from clinicians. With few exception, we got very miserable response from the from with this regard. Then we went back to literature and searched that what is other lab doing, and we found that all other labs are also selling in the same boat. So they also have the same problem with regard this. Though there are literature saying that comparison of AMH and anterior follicular count as a assessment of ovarian reserve, they do well, they go hand in hand, and they both or standalone can serve as a ovarian reserve marker. Correlation of AMH value with baseline FSH value is also correlated very well. Still, there are challenges in AMH testing, which were also discussed till recently in European Society of Human Reproduction and Embryology in July 2013. So this says that there is considerable diversity in conversion factors between assay. Some assays use picogram per ml unit, some assays use nanogram per ml unit. There are no valid reference ranges for each assay. And the third important point is AMH sample instability. Also, validated age-related nomogram is under development. So what do we do in such cases? AMH has got reliability and utility very early before it proves its utility and accurately define its utility. So in literature also we got conflicting findings like wide variation in AMH within each age group regardless of obstetric history. It is less convincing as a super biomarker for ovarian reserve. Then there can be intra or intercycle variation among individuals, even in circadian variation in PCOS patient. And some studies do say that though there is intra and intercycle variation in AMH, it is not as effective that we cannot do random AMH sample testing. So with this background, I like to ask question to Dr. Ingrid that are you aware of all these technical issues while interpreting AMH value?
Yes, but I think we have to go in much details about it. As far as we follow, there is no particular time of the cycle when we collect the sample as in FSH-LH. We are sending a random AMH levels. So we are not following any particular time of the day or the menstrual cycle.
So most of the study says that it is independent of cycle variability. What factors do you rely most for assessment of ovarian reserve apart from AFC, AMH and FSH? Do you think any other factor is important?
For the ovarian reserve, these three are very, very important. Yeah. Nothing more than that.
What is cutoff of AMH for cancellation of your cycle?
Less than 1.
Less than 1.
Yeah.
So can AMH be considered as standalone marker for?
I think not yet. Not yet really. So still the sonography is the only thing what we would depend on, because as we are seeing the values are quite variable and they are not correlating with that. I mean, dependent on the value of 3.4, we took the patient for the stimulation and we failed very badly.
Yeah.
So no.
Yeah. So with the background of conflicting findings and all these technical issues related to AMH, it is really premature to recommend that, it is really early to recommend AMH as a standalone marker. But yes, if we work with team, if we work as a team with clinical and USG correlation, till the time we get robust platform, AMH can prove as a standalone gold marker. Any questions from the audience?
The correlation of DHEAS therapy and AMH, basically, as I said, that AMH would guide us about the quality of oocyte, and DHEAS is only supplemented to improve the quality of oocyte. It wouldn't increase in the number of antral follicles in the ovary. It wouldn't increase the response to the stimulation. But whatever number of oocytes I would get, probably they wouldn't have that effect of the inhibition because of genital abnormality. So at least to improve the quality of that oocyte and final outcome of the embryology would be little bit improved. But I have still not been convinced on myself, and the literature says that okay, it has, but not so much so convincing. It has got very minimal additive effect, but yet the studies are on, not so much proved yet.
Dr. Anita, will you like to share your experience about AMH?
Because we take AMH and all these things very lightly. So it's been a wonderful session, and she's really opened our eyes. It's like a revision, and we can. But AMH, like you rightly said, ma'am, is very unpredictable. It gives very variable values. We have tried to standardize as far as possible. Like you people, we have done all the tests, but we are not able to come to a conclusion. So it is a lot of queries clinicians do ask, which we are not able to answer. I think we are all sailing in the same boat currently where it's concerned.
As a clinician, if I have to send AMH, that would be to support my finding of lower AFC count. And that is what presently I would be looking forward for AMH report. Apart from that, to predict OHSS and all, I am not going to do that investigation. This is to convince the patient that not to spend on this, but to utilize your amount for something else. Final outcome is the pregnancy and a live baby. But this is going to give you agony. So better have a confirmation that by doing the AMH value, if that also says your value is lesser than this, then I wouldn't spend for your own oocytes. That would be my interpretation for that.
Uday, what is your experience of AMH? Patient must be coming to you for second opinion.
Sir, I honestly, I mean, I do not understand much about infertility, truly speaking. So I was actually also sitting and listening to what you're saying. But we do get these patients, and absolutely rightly, what sometimes we have seen is that people have branded them that this cannot happen now. I mean, and you cannot have such a watertight level of that AMH to say 100% what will happen. It is best used as a marker to counsel patients on the future, but you cannot say that I will not do this treatment because this AMH is like this. I don't think we can use that. The other place where I have seen AMH being used is in PCOS, etc. But again, the significance is very dubious because there are no cutoffs which are available to diagnose PCOS versus non-PCOS. So that's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.